Good day, ladies and gentlemen. It's Eric Coffin. I'm here at my Metals Investor Forum in Vancouver. It is Sunday, January 28th, 2023. I'm here with Mike Struthers. He's one of the CEOs I invited. The newsletter writers invite the companies at MIF. He is the relatively recently appointed, I guess, CEO of Altaley Mining. Altaley has certainly had its share of issues the last couple of years. It does have a mine in production. It has a second mine being built, but with some setbacks and difficulties, they made some changes. One of which was bringing Mike in, and the reason why I invited Mike was really when you look at the situation right now, you've got a company with a reasonable sized base metal mine with precious metal credits, and it's building a second mine that would be predominantly precious metals. Right now, it's sitting with like a $15 million valuation. So, I mean, that's telling you that the market is expecting the worst. And quite often, when the market is expecting the worst, if you're willing to be the one to sort of step into the breach, as it were, that's really where the gains are. I mean, not to put too fine a point on it, if Mike can turn this situation around, the potential re-rate's quite high. So, I mean, no pressure, Mike. But, but now that you've been dropped into it, can you give us a sense of what needed or needs to be fixed, and what the company's doing right now to sort of get that done?
Yeah. Okay. So I came in September. So I spent the last 3 or 4 months, digging into the weeds, understanding what the situation was with both the projects and organizationally and et cetera, the whole thing. Right. So there's a number of dimensions to it. There's some organizational, things that I think needed to be changed. We've just appointed a new CFO, for example. Right. I've already made some changes at the Tauweto project, our construction project. New construction management. We're looking for a new GM right now. So we're addressing some of the organizational things, and that'll continue to evolve over the next few weeks and months. Right. On the sites, the story for the two sites, to explain poor performance, if you like, is different for each one. Campo Morado is a classic VMS deposit. Those types of deposits need a sort of higher level of technical management than your average mine. Right. So, in fact, what happened last year, because last year was poor performance, is illustrative of what was missing in the management or the running of Campo Morado. And it's all about, it's a catchphrase, but it's geometallurgy. It's about understanding the mineralogy of the material you're going to put in the plant and understanding how it behaves in the plant. Right. And those two things have got to be really intimately married together. And the experience they had last year is illustrative of what happens when you don't do that. Right. So they were mining in a high-grade zinc area, close to depleting that area, moved into a part of the ore body which was much higher iron grades. It didn't perform well in the plant. Everybody went, oops. Right. And so they moved operations to another ore body which had higher copper grades, but the plant wasn't configured to handle the higher copper grades. So that was Q1, and then Q2 was sort out the copper part of the plant. So that took half the year, right? Right. Those are you can't allow those things to happen, and there is a higher level of technical input required, but it's also not rocket science. Right. You just have to do the advanced work. So we're doing a lot more work now on met test work and what have you for each of the different ore zones.
So kind of like testing ahead.
You test ahead, and you understand. Okay, we're going to switch to these ore bodies, or these two ore bodies. We cannot blend them because they're just incompatible. Right. But these two we can blend because they're similar mineralogies. So you'd be smarter about it. Right. Anyway, so in essence, that's what happened at Campo Morado, and the key there is two things. One is the geometallurgy part of it, and the other is I brought Ausenco engineers in who I'd worked with when I was with Lundin Mining. They went through the whole plant. So we've got a pathway now for improving performance in the plant from one end to the other. And we'll progressively work our way through that, And none of that, it's all upside. I haven't built that into our plans for this year. Right. But I think we'll see some really good improvements in recoveries as a part of all that.
Well, I think one fortuitous in the Campo too is, like you mentioned, the geometallurgy. as it happens, happily, you're mining into just a much
Yeah.
nicer zone at several levels.
We are. We made a conscious decision to move into more copper, into higher grade copper areas. So we're mining. We're in there now, but it's going to ramp up at the end of February, and then in March. In fact, March onwards, as a result of that, we're going to have a much stronger year. We've doubled the amount of the contribution of copper to the revenue at Campo Morado,
Right.
and we've also installing some additional float equipment. So we're improving the copper concentrate grade by 5%.
Right.
It makes a big difference.
Well, that gets you, presumably, that gets you a better deal with the smelter. I mean, people,
Yeah.
shareholders often don't think about it, but base metal companies,
Oh yeah.
Once you get past the mine gate, a big chunk of the cost is actually smelter. I mean, because they don't, base metal mines, generally speaking, they don't produce metal, they produce concentrate. So you want to get the best deal.
Absolutely, and we've got high silver tenors in those cons as well. So we've got 700 or 800 grams of silver in that copper concentrate. So we get a lot of credit for that. So at Tahueto, different story. There was a mix of internal and external factors about what happened. The external ones was, funding delays. The Mexican bank, Ascendo, failed. Blah blah blah. But there were some internal factors too, which we're addressing now. And you really needed much tighter discipline on budgeting and scheduling and all those things. So it's project management, capital P, capital M. So we're bringing people in now who are actually specialists in project management, capital projects, and my sort of background. We need those people to make sure that we know what it's going to cost, how long is it going to take, and that we can deliver, right? So, and then obviously with Tahueto, there's been a lot of raised expectations and not delivering to those expectations in the past, which is, I guess, explains why we're sitting down at $14 instead of a much higher valuation. So, so this year's all about delivery. So we're going to deliver that 500-ton project at Tahueto, and it's the first stage in Q2.
Okay.
Campo Morado is also going to have a really good Q2, and the second half of the year is actually going to be even better than that for Campo Morado. So, from Q2 onwards, we're going to tick some boxes in Q2, achieve things. People will say, okay, finally they can deliver.
Right.
So I think we'll get a good re-rating off the back of that, and then the performance for the rest of the year, Campo I mentioned, and then the 1,000-ton project for Tahueto. We've already got the mill. So to double our throughput at Tahueto doesn't cost much.
Right.
We're only talking about $7 or $8 million.
Right.
And you've doubled your throughput. So, we'll get that done during the middle part of the year, by the end of the year.
Right.
So that puts us in a really good position. We'll have a good year at Campo, and 2024 Tahueto is operating 1,000 tons a day. And we're generating some significant cash then from both operations. So, we have a debt burden, but that's going to allow us to sort of keep working away at that.
Yeah.
And that debt, that doesn't overhang for a long time.
Well, and I think most of that debt is to the guys that are taking the concentrate. So
exactly. Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not in their interest. I'm pretty sure they make more money on the cons than they do.
They
on
absolutely
the
do. Yeah. And one of those loans expires in 24, and the other one in 25. So it's not as if they stretch far into the future. So.
And these two operations that things stand right now, I think they're both 10 years.
Yes.
But
with
both of them got a lot of room to get.
They do, both in terms of expanding the resource. At Campo, in terms of technologies, upside, base metal operation, but also on the precious metal side, we've dipped our toe in the water of various technologies. And what I'd like to do is get a scoping type study done to look at all of those and choose the right path forwards for that this year. Right. And then in 24, we might be able to execute some of that. At Tahueto, certainly good scope to increase the throughput. And there's a lot of exploration potential. Altaley, the company, has never done any exploration ourselves at Tahueto. So, and you can see the veins. You can see them on the hillside. They're all, they're exposed. They're outcropping. You just got to get there and drill them out. So, good upside in different ways at both projects. So this year is all about the foundation. It's get the basics right, get the two mines operating, and then we're off really. So.
Okay. I think that tells a story. It's ATLY on the venture. You know, I view it as a story with really a ton of upside. It's not, you know, I'm not going to tell you it's guaranteed. Like, welcome to the exploration / mining / development business. None of this is guaranteed. You know, the other thing that's going to help these guys a lot, it probably already is at Campo, is we have seen a pretty good uptick, pretty much right across the set of metals that you're mining there.
Yep.
That's going to help a lot too. I think it does help a lot that Campo goes from 20% copper to 40% copper. That's pretty important, both in terms of just how much money the mine can make internally, but I suspect once the market gets around to understanding that, it probably gets a bit more love too, because it's just copper's just hotter than lead and zinc, or that's just how it is. So I mean, this is in essence, it's a turnaround story. So I mean, you got to be willing and able to step up on that kind of story. But if you're willing, you know, when turnarounds work, the returns can be quite large, and that's why I invited Mike. I mean, I've had a lot of conversations with Mike since he was hired. I'm comfortable that Mike can get this done, and if that, you know, once that happens, there's a lot of upside with this deal. So thanks for coming by, Mike.
Thanks, sir.
And good luck in the alligator pit or whatever. Yeah, like I know you got a lot of stuff to do to make this work, but you know, one thing I appreciate about you and about Altaley is, like, you're not, you know, you've always been very conservative. You're not blowing smoke. It's just like, yeah, here's all the stuff that could go wrong, and here's how I can fix it. You're not just showing people, you know, rainbows and unicorns. You're giving people a very straight story.
Yeah, no, that's really important for me. Yeah. I think it's important, transparent, and delivery. You know, just got to do what we say we're going to do.
Yep,
that's the challenge this year. So.
That's it in a nutshell. Thanks for coming by, Mike.
Thanks very much, Eric.